What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's matchup is Big Fire Ninetales versus Nightmare Sleep Swap. So on the left will be your Big Fire deck. This time the primary attacker, instead of a familiar Blaine's Arcanine or Macargo, is going to be E-Reader Ninetales. And on the right side you will have Sleep Swap, Nightmare Sleep Swap, denoting that the main attacker is going to be Haunter, primarily using Dream Eater or Nightmare. So those are the two decks. We'll get it started here. Should be an interesting matchup. Computer search right off the bat on turn 1 for Big Fire. We'll see what gets discarded. Item Finder and Gust discarded with Comp Search, so pretty big discard cards getting discarded. And Cleffa in the active against a Doduo, so 2 free retreaters. Also Ghastly on the bench, a free retreater, so pretty good big basic there for Sleep Swap to start with. And of course Vulpix on the bench. Looks like a Claymation Vulpix from Expedition. And Card Glare being what it is, I can't quite see what's being grabbed. But it looks like it was a fan club because now a Cyndaquil has joined the bench along with, surprise, another Cyndaquil. So Big Fire here using the Typhlosion from Neogenesis most likely, or Expedition to accelerate energy onto the board and swing with big attacks. If you're not familiar with Ninetales, it's the Ethereal Flame Ninetales that we'll primarily be seeing doing a lot of work. You can see one in the hand. And then a Fire attached for turn on Cleffa will guarantee the Eek, so big turn 1 for Big Fire. Sleep Swap responding with a fan club of its own. We'll see what gets grabbed. And this will be a good deck peep. You can see Trader, Gust, and Elekid. That's a fun tech. Some Drowsies. Looks like the Furret line is in here. And it looks like those could just be the default choices. Both archetypes too. You can have so much flexibility in how you want to build a Big Fire deck. With Sleep Swap, you have a lot of options for what you might want to splash, whether it's Elekid or Mr. Mime, or apparently even the Furret line can make its way into lists. Good deck peep here. Saw a Focus Band or two. Saw some Energy Stadiums, so lots of variety and flexibility on these builds. And Fan Club now resolving. DCE for turn attaches to a bench Drowsy. There's a Healing Field in the hand. Makes sense, Sleep Swap generally has a lot of mid-range Pokemon in it. Not a big HP kind of deck. Highest in there is going to be 80 versus Big Fire, where even though Ninetales is also 80 HP, those Typhlosions are pretty big at, I believe, 100. And that applies to the Fire Recharge Typhlosion from Neogenesis as well as the Expedition Typhlosion. Both have 100. Elekid brought up front, rolling for Playful Punch. And that is a Tails. So Playful Punch had the opportunity to deal 20 to this Cleffa. Can also be used from the bench, pretty cool ability. Now we see a Trader putting a Cleffa back in for Big Fire. Thinking about grabbing that Ninetales, which I thought we saw in hand earlier. Now with Ninetales down, it does have 2 attacks. Ethereal Flame is the big one. Less commonly you could see Mislead, which is a fire and a colorless. You flip 2 coins. If either is heads, the defending Pokemon is confused. So still useful, can put in some work. Never noticed that Ninetales in the art was sitting in some bamboo shoots. Or just bamboo in general, I guess. Fire attached for turn to that Ninetales, and gusting in the Drowsy. Cleffa then guaranteeing an Eek, so I believe that's 2 gusts down for Big Fire. Off the top we see a Sentret drawn for Sleep Swap as turns pass. Now, as we were talking about with Ninetales, Ethereal Flame deals 30 damage for 3 colorless, but you discard all fire energy attached to Ninetales, and then the attack will deal 30 plus 20 more for each card discarded that way. So, not the most flexible attack because you must discard all fire energy attached to it, but can hit some big damage numbers. Now, a item finder and computer search in hand for Sleep Swap. I assume we'll see the comp search. Grabbing the Dodrio here would allow the Drowsy to escape. And looks like Furret and Healing Field getting discarded with that comp search. We'll see what gets grabbed. Quick deck peep here, planning things out, seeing what might be prized. I did not catch what was grabbed. It looked like it might have been a copycat instead of just going purely after the Dodrio. Understanding you could draw into the Dodrio or grab Trader to then go grab the Dodrio. We will see. And it is copycat. So good response to that. Eek gets a fresh 7. That is supported for turn though, and that was also a computer search, so lots of cards being used, still no advancement on board state. We'll see how it goes here. It'd be good to have an attach. I did not check the deck. I didn't see how many copies of Hypno were available, but I did notice there were 2 Dodrios. Looks like a Ghastly was drawn, a Cleffa, another Stadium, another computer search. And we will see that other computer search tossing Cleffa and Ghastly, so lots of discarding. Now Sleep Swap could just go and grab Hypno if it's in there. Another play option is to use long distance Hypnosis with Drowsy, see if you hit the Cleffa. If you don't, evolving into Hypno anyway would remove the status. Not really necessary though, just, okay, there's the Hypno. Because Hypno has Sleep Pendulum, which just puts the Cleffa to sleep for free. Alright, it is the Hypno. Trying to slow things down here. Sleep Pendulum puts the Cleffa to sleep, and now we will see if Spiral Aura can deal 30 to Cleffa for the knockout. That would be the first prize of this match. Big roll. And it's good. So, first prize goes to Sleep Swap. Cleffa's in the bin. Turns pass over to Big Fire. We'll see if Big Fire can keep the momentum going with setting up the board. Another Cleffa immediately comes down. And Ninetales gets a fire attach for turn. Vulpix joins the bench. Copycat's in hand, but kind of a small hand to copycat off of. Instead it's an Oak! It puts a Gust, 2 Copycats, and a Fire in the bin. That was a big Oak. Quilava number 1 has been found. Neogenesis. Goldberry attaches to Ninetales. Goldberry a little awkward on 80 HP Mons. And it will be Mislead. And there is, it's 2 heads, but only needed 1. So now Hypno is confused. So Confusion in the WotC era is kind of a mouthful as far as statuses go. Confusion stays as long as you're active. You can heal it with certain status healing cards, but primarily evolving or benching it would be the go-to. Looks like there's a Warp Energy in hand. So Haunter just came down onto the bench. Psychic Attach for turn is not necessarily going to be used. Yep. We're going to warp out into Elekid. Okay, so Confusion was removed, so I guess we won't worry too much about the rulings on Confusion right now. because that would take a bit of time to explain. Bench check. Really want to find that Dodrio to get these sleeps rolling. Retreat 8 on Dodrio, enabling that loop, and we will see Sleep Pendulum here on Ninetales. Could also just Spiral Aura and then use the gusting effect of Spiral Aura to push it to the bench, but right now it looks like they're just going to go for Sleep Pendulum for 30. You don't have to push it, but it looks like they will push it to Quilava, which has a retreat cost of 1. It's not often that you push with Spiral Aura, just because it's a little non-bowy with putting things to sleep with Sleep Pendulum, but in a certain matchup, especially one like this where Typhlosion has a retreat cost of 2, it's not bad to slow the game down that way. Computer search, discarding, I think that's a Town V and a DCE to grab Switch. Not a commonly seen card, but it's a good card. Especially as more status decks float around your local meta scene. Switch will put this Ninetales back up front, which now has a lot of energy attached to it. Enough for Ethereal Flame to deal 30 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. And that will one-shot this Hypno. Takes a lot of energy off the board, that's for sure. Of both sides. Now Elekid comes back up, prizing now 5-5. Psychic for turn to that Haunter. Now with no Dodrio and no Hypno available, it gets a lot harder to deal consistent shotgun damage with Dream Eater for 50. Nightmare helps a little, but it could be better. Bin check for Sleep Swap. No Clefas in sight, you got a Furret that you can't use, Energy Stadium's not great here, it probably helps Big Fire just as much as you. So probably thinking about what to do with this item finder. It could be Finder for Copycat. None of that feels amazing. Instead it will be Playful Punch. It's a heads, that gets Ninetales to 50, but Goldberry now popping reduces that damage back to 10. Ninetales 70 HP remaining, attach for turn and a pass. Finds the Dodrio off the top for Sleep Swap. That's part of the puzzle. Tiny, tiny hands though, as far as copycatting would go. Oh, decides not to evolve. I see no downside to evolving here. If anything, hang in there and keep Playful Punching. It will be item finder for Fan Club, okay. See how this gets built back up. I would expect a Drowsy and a Cleffa for sure. Considering a Haunter, considering a Magby? Considering Furret. And it looks like there is no Drowsy to be found. It could be prized. I mean, nothing wrong with going for 2 Cleffas either. No more sleep left in the sleep swap deck, it looks like. This Ninetales, when it can attack, will also be just deleting most of the sleep swap roster. Looks like it's going to be that Magby. Magby and Cleffa join the bench. Energy Stadium, gonna try to get an energy for that Cleffa. It's good, good heads. That was very needed. This hand will be going from empty up to 7 fresh cards, but from what we've seen in the deck, it's gonna be hard to find the right 7 cards. Energy Stadium now for Big Fire is a Tails. Alright, DCE attaches to Ninetales, and it's a heads on this Cleffa, immediately knocking it out. Dealing effectively 50 damage. Ethereal Flame can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. Magby comes in, fresh 7 for Sleep Swap, prizing 4 to 5, I believe, in favor of Big Fire. Another fan club. Might as well. Almost definitely needs to get a little lucky with flips and sleep and focus bands. Really need to start taking prizes if you're swapped to try and find Drowsy or Hypno. Trader looks like it'll be grabbing that Dodrio. I didn't see what was put in. The Centric got put in, I think. So now the swap side of Sleep Swap is set up. As we were talking about before, that Dodrio is a huge piece. 70 HP, retreat cost of 0. Ooh, ER hitting that DCE on Ninetales. Now there's no energy for Ninetales. Energy Stadium is a Tails for a Sleep Swap, but Retreat Aid reads as long as your Dodrio is benched, pay 1 less to retreat your active. So that allows for free switching between your Haunters and your Hypnos. A Warp Energy to fulfill the attacking requirements of Haunter, as well as a Focus Band come in here. And Ninetales is put to sleep, but immediately wakes up. So, not going to be able to Dream Eater next turn. Goldberry comes in anyway. Fire attach for turn into Elm. So this is where that Hypno with Sleep Pendulum is really valuable. If sleep can be inflicted on this Ninetales, Dream Eater would get the knockout and waste that Goldberry. I mean, I think it would even be worth risking something like finding a Drowsy, benching it, and going for long distance Hypnosis at this point. Quilava's found off that Elm. Vending Mime in hand, that's funny. Magby comes down. Magby pretty good against Sleep Swap. Quick bin check for Big Fire. Energy Stadium attempted. It's good. Go and grab a Fire. Can't grab Special Energy with it. Attach for turn was already done, and it will be a pass. Furret or Centrit found off the top. That's why I think Fan Club earlier might have been good. Just thin your deck down of cards you could potentially just top deck. Cleffa will join the bench. Energy Stadium attempted for Sleep Swap is a Tails. And it will be Nightmare. Now the math gets weird here because the Goldberry will pop it down to only having 10 damage on it. So follow-up knockout potential is pretty low right now. Sleep Swap's not going to deal 70. The Ninetales does at least stay asleep, but it's gotta stay asleep for the pass back to Sleep Swap for Dream Eater to come in. I assume that's a traitor for Mime to get thrown down and the deck to get checked. Yep, definitely a traitor. There is our first Typhlosion that we've seen, so now we can talk about Fire Recharge. It's very similar to Energy Stadium, where once per turn, of course your opponent can't use it, but once per turn you may roll a die. And if it's heads, you can take a fire energy from the bin and attach it to any of your Pokemon. And it looks like it'll go straight onto that Ninetales. Oh, I'm sorry, not any of your Pokemon, it has to be one of your fire-type Pokemon, so you couldn't attach it to the Cleffa, but obviously there's all fire types in this deck. That got off the Ethereal Flame. We'll see if Focus Band can save this Haunter. It's a Tails. Haunter goes to the bin. That's too bad. So now with the Typhlosion online, another one could be coming online too. There is a Quilava there. You can see a Trader in hand as well and a lot of fire energy, so things getting a little dire for Swap. Recycle energy allows for Cleffa to Eek, but again, what cards are you looking for? I don't think there's any Drowsy or Hypno left in deck. I think one of each could be prized. I would love to see the prizing. Fire Recharge number 1 is good. And now this Ninetales is getting to attack pretty regularly because of that Warp energy, right? So attempting to hit the Cleffa, that is a 4, so that is another prize. Prize is just everywhere now. Prizing 2 to 5, I believe. Sleep Swap barely able to finish resolving Eek before needing to pick a new active. This is what Big Fire does. Once it's up and running, it's hard to dislodge the engine. It's hard to put anything up front that doesn't get annihilated. Ghastly joins the bench. There's some Haunters in hand. There's enough energy now. You've got 2 Recycles and a Psychic. You're just not going to be dealing crazy damage. And you're not going to be disruptive enough without Hypno. Could always baby stall with something. Could always baby stall with something like Sputter. Energy Stadium is good, so a Psychic Energy will go to hand. Gusting in that Typhlosion, so that is a strategy. Retreat costed 2, and then you can shut everything off with Sputter. Of course, there isn't a fire in the hand for Typhlosion to get out. And instead of Sputter, it looks like Playful Punch will deal 20 to this Typhlosion. There's Typhlosion number 2 off the top. That's not good. First fire recharges Tails, second is Heads, so 1 fire attached to the active. Attach for turn, I assume, from the hand. Nope, just gonna attach it to the Ninetales and pass. Not in a rush here, can leave the Typhlosion up front, it's got a big body. Attach for turn to the Ghastly. Haunter can come in. Energy Stadium, Tails. Would really like to see the prizing. Now debating the attach for turn. Yep, it will be recycled to Magby instead for turn to Sputter. Try to slow things down. Of course, we know there's energy in hand to get that Typhlosion out of the active. Ninetales gets another attach, and it's a pass. Whole Ferret line is in the hands. Sentret might as well then join the bench. Psychic for turn to the Haunter. I assume we'll roll for Energy Stadium. Nope. Maybe there's none left in the bin. Instead it will be Sputter, so Typhlosion up to 40 damage out of 100. But as we know, there's a fire in hand. That will be enough to retreat this Typhlosion. Abilities are still off though. Now Ninetales coming in, gonna try to hit through the baby rule. Looks like it's good. That was a 6. Forced to discard all fire energy from the Ninetales, so that was 70 damage to that Magby. 1 prize left for Big Fire. Magby in the active. Another Ninetales on the bench. Gonna be tough for Sleep Swap to do anything from here. There's a Gust in hand for Disruption to slow things down. For it joining very late. DCE to fur it. Spinning attack does deal 30. Looks like that was the Tails for Energy Stadium this turn. And it's hard to envision a path back to victory for Swap right now. Gust will hit the Typhlosion with damage already on it. And Haunter will come in, Cleffa joins the bench. And Nightmare will put Typhlosion to sleep. 60 damage on it now. Stays asleep, that's big. Gonna need to get lucky here. Fire recharge for the bench Typhlosion is a Tails, that helps. Energy Stadium also a Tails, that helps. Could throw down the DCE on the active Typhlosion. Of course, if you roll Tails again, Nightmare into Dream Eater will knock out this Typhlosion. In between turns, wakes up. So the attach for turn 1 to that Ninetales instead, just to be safe. Nightmare, if it keeps the Typhlosion asleep again, could help. Tails on Energy Stadium, Dodrio gets a Recycle Energy attach. Of course, Ninetales is 1 attach away, and you know the attach is in hand for Big Fire from taking the last prize off of this Haunter. So even if this drags out and this Typhlosion can't wake up, it's probably game, based on the cards we can see. Wakes up anyway. That DCE we were talking about earlier is probably going to be used for retreating. Recharge first, it's a Tails. Recharge again, it's good. That'll be enough to seal the game, so that'll get the attach onto Ninetales. DCE for the retreat. Ninetales coming in. We'll be able to swing for 70 with Ethereal Flame, discarding 2 fire energy in the process. 30 plus 20 plus 20 will take this Haunter down. And that is the game, so good game. Curious what the prizing was. There's the Drowsy we were talking about, along with 2 Oak, that's tough, and the Hypno. So full Tapir line was prized. Tough to come back from that, but it happens. So comment, like, subscribe for more WotC-20. We'll catch you next time.